Hey y'all, would you like to win something? My name is Adria Wilkins and I wrote a book called The Joy Box Journal. It has 40 devotions with a box and notepads to journal joy moments in your life. I want to give you a chance to win an autographed copy. Go to OPS Podcast Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter every day in August at 10 a.m. Pacific for a chance to enter and win. When you see the picture of my book, all you need to do is like and post a comment with the hashtag #LookoutForJoy. If you'd like an extra entry, go to my Facebook page, Adria Wilkins. Will be a post pinned at the top of the month of August, and it will be labeled Chance to Win. All you need to do is like the post and comment. We will do a drawing live at the end of August. Good luck, and y'all be on the lookout for joy.
The last thing you want is for something to go wrong with your plumbing, but it happens a lot. And the last thing you want when there's water spraying all over your kitchen or your toilet is overflowing is looking up reviews on which plumber you should call. So let me save you some time. Call the Art of Plumbing. They're always on time. They can locate the problem and fix it right away. They even help with solutions to stop any future problems. Save time. Call the Art of Plumbing today. 541-951-9405.
Hey, come take a walk with me. Not like you used to do. Do something different and put yourself in other people's shoes. Open up your mind and open up your eyes and change your direction, change your perspective.
Welcome into Other People's Shoes. As you know, I am your host, Neil Matthews. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I got to be honest, this is a very first. Like, I know I say that a lot because, we're still new. We're still a baby show, relatively speaking. I mean, 80 plus episodes now. Does that make us a baby? I don't know. I'll let you determine that. But today, I get to sit with a guy that I got to officiate his wedding. Let that sink in just for a minute. Like, how does that work? Well, I got online. I got credentialed at the Universal Life Church of who knows what, and I got ordained to do this gentleman's wedding. And I got to be the pastor, if you will, the official. Had to sign documents and everything to make it legitimate for him to get married. So help me welcome in my guest. He is an author of Positivity in 140 Characters or Less. And here's the best part. He's going to give you a chance, not just a chance like a contest chance. He's going to give you an opportunity to download his work. And so stay tuned for that. So just a little tease on that. So we'll talk more about that here momentarily. But he's also in the business of serving others. What a noble work that is, right? We don't do that enough, I think, as people. He's also a world traveler. And today, I'm really excited about what he's wearing, but we'll get to that momentarily as well. Help me welcome in our guest, my friend, my somehow sort of family member in some weird sort of way, Jeff Singer. Jeff, how are you?
I am feeling blessed and feeling fantastic, and I am so honored and privileged to be on your show. And Neil, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, man. This is awesome.
Well, first off, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, it's just a podcast, right? We're just sitting around. We're sitting around in your room, right? I mean, this is a vast room that we're in too, by the way. We got a giraffe in the corner, by the way. We got the dogs that may be running
That's
around
my
later.
wife's giraffe.
Yeah. And we got a pool table that if we really get really invasive or aggressive, I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but we could go shoot some pool too, right?
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
So that's great. So, Jeff, I want to ask this very important question, of course, before we get too far down a road together. And this is probably, I think, the most important question anyone will answer in their lifetime. And that's this. Jeff, what size shoes do you wear?
I wear a size 10 men's shoe.
Size 10 men's shoe.
Yes.
Okay. So, what kind of shoes are you wearing today? Let's talk about that for a minute.
I had to break them out, Neil, because I've listened to your podcast, and I know it's really important to not wear sandals. I was gonna wear some sandals. No. I gotta break them out. I gotta put on the Jordan 3s.
So you're rocking some Jordan 3s today,
I'm wearing the Jordan 3s.
That is actually one of my favorite style of Jordans.
Right.
So
right.
I am not wearing Jordans today. I'm gonna see if I can get my foot out here. But
You got some good kicks.
I'm gonna see if I can slide these off for a second. This is why I don't tie my shoes, because then I can slide them off. But do you know what these
Nice.
are? Are you familiar with these?
They look like
What do they look like to you? They look like Vans, but they're not.
But they're not bands.
No?
They are, I don't know,
Okay. These are Sperry's.
Sperry's.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the front part, as you see the toe part right
Right,
here,
right.
are navy blue. You see that?
Yeah.
Our listeners can, obviously. And then we go to the back, and of course, we got the Carolina influence, the light blue.
Oh, Carolina. There you go.
There it is, yeah.
Mhm.
But these are the same style of shoes Mr. Rogers wore.
Oh,
Minus-
that's powerful.
Minus the light blue.
That
He
is
wore all
powerful.
navy, but I threw in the light. When I saw the light blue, I was like, I got a little bit of Mr. Rogers.
There you go. Yes.
And then a little bit of me,
That's what that's about.
right? So that's what it's about, talking about serving others. So
Yes.
what do you think of that?
Fantastic. I mean, that's just awesome. Where'd you get those at?
So I got those on eBay.
Oh, eBay. Okay.
My favorite shoe store of all time.
Yeah,
eBay.
no. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
So now I'm trying to put my shoe on and
Have to
talk
get
in the
me a pair.
microphone at the same time. You know
I have
what
to
I
give
mean?
me a pair of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's
So-
always a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It is, yeah.
Always.
So I love that aspect of it, and so that's what I want to do. So let's talk about the book for a second. Let's
Okay.
talk about why on earth, and first off, how does the book come to creation about this positivity in 140 characters or less? How does that come about?
So the book started with, I think everything in life starts with an idea, and I had this idea of, I got on Twitter. So I got on this journey, back in like 2011, 2010 to be more, I just flown back from Europe and I just was not feeling it. I wasn't feeling life. I wasn't feeling anything. And I got on this journey to figure out ways I can be more positive, figure out ways I can express positivity. I started going to the library and checking out books and reading tons of books on business, finance, mind development. And then I started tweeting on Twitter these quotes that came from books or quotes that came from my head. And I decided I'm going to turn these into a book. So I got with a good friend of mine, and we got together and masterminded a way to create this book. And this is back in 2011. So, I had done some more traveling and got more photos and stuff of Australia or Japan or Paris and stuff, and thought I've got to make these into a book, because in all of the photos that I was taking, I was in a state of joy. There was a state of positivity that I was in. And I think people choose what state they want to be in. And then I had to, get the quote that matched up with the photo. So it was a love journey, a passion to create this book. And I finally got it out. I think 2012, I released the book, which is, almost going on 10 years now. It's like 8 years ago. And I wasn't really concerned about selling it. I just wanted people to have it. I wanted people to, get a chance. It's not it's just an affirmational book. Like there's a page of Australia with a quote, and a page of Japan with a quote, or a page of Hawaii with a quote. And I wanted people to just read it daily and then go about their day and kind of meditate on the quote,
So I know you got your phone there.
Yeah.
So could you do me a favor and jump on Instagram, right? Which do you like better, Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook? I'll let you choose.
I can go on Instagram.
Okay, so go to Instagram for me and then search OPS Podcast Show, if you wouldn't mind.
I would not mind at all.
And then while you're looking that up, I'm pondering this question for you. So,
OPS
yeah, Oscar, Paul, Simon,
show.
yeah, podcast and then show.
Oh, podcast. Okay.
Yeah. See what comes up there. So I'm pondering this question as you're talking about it. So you're not only coming up with some inspirational quotes to get people meditating.
Yes.
You got that there? Yeah, that looks like us. Okay, so we'll get to that in just a second. So we'll put a pin in that for the moment. But
Cool.
I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about, you go to these places, you go to Australia. I mean, Australia is beautiful. I've never been there, but I'm thinking of the Sydney Opera House. I'm thinking of koalas. I'm thinking of kangaroos, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of all these amazing places. Japan, never been there, or even really know a lot about Japan. But what did you look for in the photo? Did you look for the photo first? It sounds like you looked for the photo first and then you found the quote. So what were you looking for in the photo?
It's really interesting because most of the photos involve water. I didn't really think about that till I had the book published. It's like, wow, most of these photos is like they're water, I think I just, in the inspirational stage I was in, I just took the photo and then looked at them later, like on the plane ride back to the States, and thought, well, what does this mean to me? Like, what was I feeling here? Oh, I was feeling this. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think I know exactly what you mean. So going back to Instagram. So we post daily on our Instagram.
Nice.
And so, of
Yeah,
course,
I see
encourage
this.
other people to follow and like us there. This is a little segue into what we do on social media. But when you're talking about that, it made me think about that exact thing, because that's what we try to do on social media as well, is find a picture and then find a quote that really kind of lines up with maybe that picture or that thing
I'm digging this.
that's going on. So,
That's the, I see one of your podcasts here I listen to.
yeah.
You had some really moving stuff on your podcast, and I just wanted to, I'm really honored to be on your podcast. I mean, this is truly a blessing.
Yeah. Well, so going back to you and going back to these photos that you're taking. So you take all these photos. How many photos do you think you took overall that you
Probably
eliminated down or
a
made
couple
it
of
into the book?
hundred? But some of the photos were experiences that I wanted to capture too. So, like for an example, I was in Japan, and I was kind of lost in Tokyo. Really, any of your listeners, if they've ever been to Tokyo, they know that it's an extremely complex place to navigate. And all of a sudden, I'm trying to find some samurai shrine, and there's these guys, 5 of them by the subway, and they're holding a sign in English that said free hugs. And I went over and hugged all of them, and they all lit up and I lit up. And then all of a sudden, a guy came that spoke English and directed me to where I wanted to go, It was just and I had that photo taken. It wasn't in the book because that itself is a quote, Most of the book is scenery photos.
So like landscaping and things like that.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So Jeff, we're sitting around and you're coming toward the end of our season. But I'm really compelled to ask this question. And the question I'm compelled to ask you is this idea of, what has been your greatest search in life?
That's a really good question. My greatest search. I think we are all on a path or...
Can we make it about you? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
My greatest search for life is... it's a really interesting question. I got to ponder that for a minute. A deeper understanding of self. I think that's the first thing that kind of pops in my head. A deeper understanding of who I am and my purpose. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a thing that they want to achieve in life. And I just keep coming back to serving other people.
Why is that so important to you?
I think it's something that's overlooked a lot, but I think it's vitally important for us to serve others, because there's so much inspiration when you're serving somebody else, and it's a spiritual journey when you're in the act of serving somebody else.
Do you have an example of a time where you're like, man, I got so much reward out of serving this person, or maybe there was a moment that you realized that was truly your calling in life, was to serve other people? Do you have any moments like that?
Oh yeah. I've done a lot of traveling also as a nursing assistant, and that's one of my passions. And that's where the whole serving others has kind of come from. But one story kind of sticks out in my mind in particular. So I think I was out in, where was I? I think I was out in eastern Washington somewhere, and close by Yakima. I was at a nursing center, and I'd been there. So my company would send me out there, and I'd be there for like a week, and there was an old lady crept down in a wheelchair, and she'd been there. She didn't really move. She'd been there the whole time, People walked by her and stuff, And on my last day there, I said, well, I'm going to go over and say hi to her, and because people have amazing histories that nobody, or that few people want to discover, right? Especially if you're older. And I crept down and I says, hey, how are you today? And this woman started bawling like a baby, like bawling, hysterically crying. And I took a step back and was like, man, did I say the wrong thing? Did I trigger something? I don't really know what's going on. She gave me a big hug, and she said, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I said, thank you for what? I would just ask, how are you doing? And she says, I've been here for at least 4.5 days. And you're the first person that said, how are you? Everybody else has told me time to eat, time to take a shower, time to go to bed, time to get weighed. And I really appreciate you saying, how are you? And I thought, wow. So in my heart, it's like, okay, this is a good feeling. This is serving others.
What did that do to you after you left there?
It made me want to not travel and to focus my attention on one place and serve people on a deeper level than just running in and out of a building. As a nursing assistant, a traveling nursing assistant, I have my license in 3 states. And to just focus and build a relationship and a rapport with people on a deeper level, emotionally, spiritually, and really get to become part of their family in a sense.
What do you think happens when you build a rapport with somebody? What do you think? I say often the ripple effect, right? And I think you know what I'm referring to.
Right.
What do you think that ripple effect is like when you build rapport and when others build rapport with people?
Well, yeah, I think it's contagious, and I think the ripple effect is love. It takes love to do that. And it ultimately takes self-love. You have to love yourself before you can love someone else.
So talk about that. Has that ever been a struggle of you to love yourself first?
Oh, hell yeah. I'm sorry, can I say that?
Yeah, no, you're good. You can say whatever you want. Yeah. You can say whatever you want. Yeah, that's fine.
Excuse me.
No, you're good. It's fine.
Yeah, it had been a long struggle because of my demographics. I came
What do you mean by demographics?
I came from the typical American household, Mother was in and out. She was involved in drugs and alcohol, and was I was kind of thrown out on the streets when I was young, and my stepfather raised me. I mean, that story alone is a book in itself. And I really didn't know or have self-worth until, started to surround myself around people that said, you know, you're always telling us how you can't do things. Has anyone ever told you what you can do? I thought, well, that's very interesting. You know, and then that's when the whole journey of it. And when I was younger, I gravitated towards, I was the only one in my family that graduated high school, walked across and got a diploma. And I was gravitated towards martial arts when I was younger, because it was the self-discipline. It wasn't the military for me. I was like, I had no desire. I did have a desire, but I just didn't feel like I was able to do that, you know?
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. And so that's what I was wondering about too, because, you know, obviously I knew a little bit of your background, right? Coming from where you came from.
Right.
But I'm also wondering too, this learning to love yourself, right? Do you think the reason why you want to be positive and have this, again, positive ripple effect, this searching people out to find, to maybe make them happy or to give them a positive thought, or, you know, you gave an example of, you know, a quote that maybe would cause somebody to go back and meditate and think on that.
Right.
Where do you think the root of all that comes from, though? Because, I mean, it's like I said, it's great to have that motivation, but it comes from somewhere. So where do you think it comes from for you?
Are you referring to like on a spiritual plane, or?
I'm just talking about, if you want to take it spiritual, sure. If you want to take it just when you hear that, what comes to your mind?
I guess the word love comes to my mind, and that is a spiritual journey. You know, that's what Jesus had preached about, was love. And for me, I had to love myself first, because demographically, like I said earlier, I was surrounded by people that didn't know self-love. They didn't know, they knew of, you know, God and stuff, but they didn't really know how to respect themselves in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does. I think, again, you know, for me, maybe this will help. For me, I had to come to the end of myself. I had to start recognizing, and again, it's not my shoes that we're in, it's
Right.
your shoes,
Right.
but I kind of had to come to the end of myself and realize that who's in charge of my motivation, right? Who's in charge of making sure that I'm happy?
Mm-hmm.
Who's in charge of that? And recognizing the fact that, you know, even I know you know my dad
Right,
very well,
right.
and I don't think you've ever met my mom, but you know my dad more so. But growing up in the environment I grew up in, as
Mm-hmm.
you've seen firsthand, my dad, Gunny, as we call him, you know, it was tough. It was tough to recognize and to see and to get encouragement.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And you know that about me, but again, we're not about me right now. We're about you. And I guess that's why I'm asking you is what was that like to finally say, hey, I realize I'm not getting this. I want to get it for myself. And then once I get that, I want to give that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Are you following me on that?
So, I think when I had graduated high school, like I said earlier, it was a blessing, because nobody in my family had done that. It was unheard of, you know. And I was so afraid to fail that I wanted to find discipline. And I found discipline through martial arts. And so that started the physical aspect of my spiritual journey. And then when I was 30, like I said, I was getting back from Europe, I got really depressed. I really didn't, I didn't feel any self-worth. And it wasn't until I just decided, I woke up one day, just decided I'm going to forge my own path. I know there's greatness within me. I'm going to express it. And I'm going to drive to the library and figure out how to express it. I didn't have any, teachers, or because most of my life people had said, you shouldn't you ought to do this, you ought to do that. And it wasn't until I finally decided, I'm not going to listen to other people. I'm going to listen to myself.
Yeah, I'm even thinking back to, the story you shared with the woman,
Yeah.
right, in the
Yes.
wheelchair, and that everybody's been telling her, it's time for this, it's time for that, it's time
Right.
for this, it's time for that. But you came along and said, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
And she broke down in tears. So I just was wondering, was there somebody in your life that came along that said, Jeff, how are you?
Yeah.
That really put you on the path to encouragement, really?
Yeah. Not really. It was, my martial arts instructors were like, I would not go to school. I would not go to the class, and they would confine me and say, you're one of the best students we have. And I'd say, no, I'm not. I'd say, well, yeah, you are. Yeah, you got to go back to the. One instructor said, I believe in you so much, you don't have to pay me anymore if paying is a problem for you. And I was really blown away by that. So I showed up religiously because of that. And that was a great gift he gave me. Was, I believe in you so much. So I think that would be the turning point. His name was Sifu, which is Chinese for master. And his name is Brian Davies. He was involved in Bruce Lee's martial arts, Hawaiian martial arts. And he really kind of dug something out in me that had been so suppressed for so long. And like I said earlier, it's the physical journey I took, which ultimately leads to the spiritual, if you think about it in that sense.
Yeah, I'm even thinking about when you're coming back you said you're coming back from Europe on the plane.
Yeah.
And you're feeling super depressed.
Yeah. What am I doing? Where am I going with my life? I didn't know,
Yeah, how old were you then?
I was 30, mid-30s, 34.
Okay. So you're coming back, you're having
After all the martial arts stuff,
Sure, yeah. And you're coming back on this plane, you're maybe mid-Atlantic, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
And you're like, man, what am I doing? Where am I going?
Yes.
Where's my purpose?
Right.
What's my mark gonna be? What am I doing with my life?
Right.
These are all probably the questions floating around, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Right. So then you get home, you wake up the next day and you go, no more.
Yeah.
No more.
I just
Where did
decided,
that come from?
I don't know. I can't describe it. It just, maybe it was a divine intervention. I just woke up and thought, you know what? I'm not going to do what I have been doing because it is not serving me. And I knew what was inside. I knew what was inside me. Even when I was like a little kid, I knew I can communicate. I knew, I have a goal of being a motivational speaker. I am a motivational speaker, but right now in our current conditions, I can't really go out and speak to large crowds, but I know I'm capable of that. I knew I had that ability. Everybody has a superpower. Everybody has an ability. Everybody has a set of values that they'll live their life through. That dictates, what's most important to least important. And I always knew, helping others, serving others has always been most important. And when I was going through the ranks of martial arts, I really loved teaching other people because it refined in me what I was trying to learn. Teaching is the best way of learning. That's a good quote. I should write that down.
That is a good quote.
Yeah.
Greatest lesson you've learned so far, do you feel like?
Greatest lesson I've learned so far. What comes to my mind right away when you say that is, and this is one of those nursing home stories where I was in a nursing home and there was a really old, wise man, and he was kind of on his deathbed. This guy was dying. And this is when I started going to the library a lot and reading a lot of books. And I got really into Dr. Wayne Dyer and all of these really motivational people, like Eckhart Tolle, Oprah, list goes on and on, you know. Chicken Soup for the Soul, Jack Canfield. But I was talking to this guy, and he says, I got one thing to say. It's better to understand than to try to be understood in life. I was like, wow, that's powerful. It's better to understand eternally than to try to be understood. You know?
Why does that resonate with you so much?
Because it's an internal thing. You know, it's better to, you know, not sweat the small stuff, to understand a deeper level of life. And we're all capable of it. Did you know that I was doing, sorry, I always have these squirrel moments, but I was reading somewhere that because of social media and stuff and distractions, that most people have the attention span smaller than a goldfish. It's like 3 seconds. No one really takes time to meditate or think. Most people aren't thinking, you know? They're just reacting.
Yeah, no, I think the struggle that I run into with people I interact with, first off, that's brilliant. It's a brilliant thought.
Thank you.
Is the idea that we don't listen. You
Right,
know, and
right.
and in not listening, we don't hear. If that makes sense.
It does.
And so when we don't listen and we don't hear, we can't, to build on what you're saying, we can't understand. And I
Right.
think so many times we're so quick to give an opinion, give a thought,
Yeah.
give a response, talking about social media, give
Mhm.
a comment, right? Give a like, give a heart, give a whatever. We don't really hear or see the person. And especially
Right.
right now with social media and with COVID still running its
Right, right,
rampantness,
right.
right?
Mhm.
We're not even seeing each other anymore.
Right.
We're seeing a name and then a comment, or a name and a like, and a name and it could go on, right? A name and a tweet, right? Or a retweet or whatever. I don't even understand Twitter. Somebody needs to explain that to me, maybe. But because I still don't get Twitter. But I say all that to say, is there a moment in your life that you really have had to struggle with truly listening and hearing someone?
Yeah, I think, you know, you have to daily remind yourself to listen, because as human nature, you want to express yourself. You want to, you know, and when people go off with that, they go, you know, off with it. And the next thing you know, the conversation is about the other person. But another quote I heard from a wise person was, you have one mouth and two ears. Use them proportionately. And I always try, if I find myself, you know, wanting to talk, to just listen, because it's better to understand than to be understood. So listening is a very powerful thing that I think, you know, we should do.
How does listening fit into serving others, do you feel like?
No, easy. If you listen, you can understand deeper what that person needs or wants. And in my profession as a nursing assistant, you really have to you almost have to have a, what's the word I'm looking for? Intuitive factor, you know, to kind of know, because they're in a scary situation. No one wants to be in a nursing home. Nobody wants to be there. I try my hardest to make it as easy for them as possible.
Have you ever thought about why we have nursing homes? Little squirrel. You talk about squirrel moments.
Yeah,
Here's-
yeah.
This might be my squirrel
No,
moment.
I got it.
But,
I got you.
But why do we have nursing homes, in your opinion?
Man, that's a good question. You know, I think we have nursing homes because people don't allow enough time to take care of family. And I'm truly, truly blessed. That's so the reason why we in Southern Oregon, sunny Southern Oregon, and I love it down here, is because I made a choice to leave my posh apartment in Portland to come down here and help my grandmother-in-law so she did not have to be in a nursing home. And I'm blessed of the fact that I have created the time to do that. I think people are in nursing homes because family just doesn't have enough time to watch them or be with them because we're so focused on career or family. The demographics of all that has kind of changed, because a lot of people now, the baby boomers are now going into nursing homes faster than anyone could have imagined. And, so a lot of these sons and daughters are trying to figure out what to do with mom and dad and raise a family and balance a career. I think nursing homes, though, honestly, as a nursing assistant, I think they need an overhaul.
How would you fix it?
I would have more of a social aspect. I would have more of, the baby boomers don't want to listen to they want to be more engaged. They want to do more things. They want to, granted, I understand they can't really get out as much as they could due to our current situation with COVID, but they don't want to do a jigsaw puzzle for 8 hours a day, sitting at a table. They want to have more engagement. They want to have more choices. What makes life good for us, Neil?
Yeah, absolutely. Choices for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have choices. You can decide, you can go out and get something to eat, or you can go home and, or read a book, or
Freedom even comes to mind.
yeah, running. Running. You know how many people I help that can't even get out of a wheelchair or breathe? And people take those attributes for granted because no one thinks about that. And I'm blessed to be working in my profession to understand deeper those things. The blessing it is to get in my car and drive home. And I remind people that, they're complaining about things, my other coworkers, and I say, hey, you have the ability to get in your car and drive home, and this person you're helping does not. So think about that,
So think about all the people that you've helped. First off, that's brilliant stuff there. I love that. I love the fact that you threw it back on me. That was, I was not ready. I was like, wait, what's the right answer to this? Like, wait, I'm the host. I'm supposed to make you feel uncomfortable and answer questions.
No, I love it. I love it.
This is not okay to give me questions right back. So it takes a rare person that does that. So Jeff, don't, no, I'm just kidding. It is what it is. But I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking about like over the span of helping people. How long have you been doing it again? The nursing thing?
Going on 13 years.
13 years. Yeah. So that's a little bit of time. But I'm thinking about like over the span of that, is there a person or maybe a story that you encountered that really maybe rocked your world or kind of maybe change your perspective on anything? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Well, my perspective is always changing and evolving because I'm changing and evolving. I can tell you all kinds of crazy stories I'm just so honored that I was able to, take care of some of these people. I've had, man, I can't even think about it. There was one lady that sticks out in my mind. She was out in Hood River, and she was a spy for Russia during World War II. And I was talking to her daughter, and she said, well, she wrote a book. She's a hero in my country. And I says, really? No, Hungary. I'm sorry. She was from Hungary. She got captured by the Germans and tortured. And they killed her husband in front of her. And she never said anything. She, survived through that and wrote this book and never spoke a word after that. Like, she didn't talk anymore after that, after she wrote the book. The book came out in like the 80s. And I apologize to your listeners. I don't remember the title of the book, but I was helping her get ready for bed, and she had severe scars from her legs down where they were burning her with like irons to try to extract information. And it's like, man, and I thought I had it rough. You're so humbled by those types of experiences.
Yeah, I'm thinking about when I was growing up too. I was pretty fortunate when my parents first bought their house. We lived in Medford, and we had a neighbor to the left and the right of us that were both, older gentlemen. And then across the street from us, there was another older gentleman. And I really got some history.
Yeah.
Not only Southern Oregon history, which was kind of cool, but I got like world history. One of the guys that was our neighbor, I think was in World War II. And then another one was really good friends with Bill Bowerman, who, of course, started Nike. And I got to hear some Southern Oregon, and Oregon stories, and just was really cool. And University of Oregon football, in the early days. And it was just, as a kid, like I was eating that stuff up.
Yeah.
I just was just mowing it down.
Yeah.
I would maybe even say like a fat kid on a Twinkie, but, maybe that's inappropriate. But I say that because, again, I'm just thinking of these people that not only you've helped, right, that you've served them, but I believe it would almost be accurate to say they've served you in a lot of respects because of their experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was asking that question about, maybe there's a moment or a person or a, somebody that stands out at you that really has made that difference for you.
Yeah, I'm always humbled when and I'm always humbled by their circumstances and events that have led people to where I have to help them out of bed. It's really humbling, and it's really it really fills your heart with a lot of gratitude. Knowing that you're impacting someone's life in a way.
Yeah, and I would think so. So speaking of impacting people and impacting, lives, let's talk about the book.
All right.
Let's talk about it, right?
Okay.
So it's available now on Kindle, right?
Yes.
So talk about that. Talk about what that looks like and how that can happen for not only us that are listening, but for anyone that maybe wants to get a copy of it.
Yeah, so this is for all of your listeners as a big thank you. The book is on Amazon Kindle store. It is called Positivity and 140 Characters or Less. If you like to buy a copy, great. If I do a speaking engagement, I just give them out for free. And since I'm doing one now, I'm going to give them out for free. So if you like to download a copy, now this is a Kindle, but I think it can download on different formats. I don't know. I'm not too.
Yeah, I think there's a Kindle app in the iPhone store, so
Okay.
I know it can work on iPhones.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I don't know about Android, but we'll figure that out, I guess.
So I'm going to read this. I had to write this on paper because I don't remember how to get a free copy of my book. It is Jeff, all lowercase. So Jeff succeeds, succeeds.wordpress.com/PDF what do you call it? PDF minus download. Like the minus, the space mark. What is that called?
Let me see if I can read Jeff's notes here. I would say that's a dash.
Dash. Thank you.
Is that
Sorry,
what
dash.
that is?
Yes,
Okay.
dash.
So what we'll do is we'll link this in our show notes.
Awesome.
So people don't have to try to,
Try to-
rewind and try to decipher.
What was he talking about?
What was he saying again? So we'll link
Yeah.
that in our show notes for
Awesome.
sure. Garrett will jump on top of that, I'm sure, because Garrett is, of course, the executive producer. So
Nice.
that's his job to do those things. So
Nice.
Jeff, as we start to wrap up today, first off, when I asked you to do this, I know you were excited.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm always curious, like, why did you want to sit with me? Like, I mean, what was going through your mind first when I asked you, and then why did you want to do it?
I wanted to sit with you because I like your show, and hopefully I can add value to people on your show. Hopefully somebody's listening and they can take something away from this. So that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to get on your show, was to add value to others.
And speaking of adding value, what's one person in your life that has added the most value?
Oh, that's a good question. Does it have to be somebody I know, or can it be somebody?
Yeah, again, I'll let you interpret that how you desire.
Because there's so many situations, always not really knowing my real father. If he walked in right now, I wouldn't know who he was. But I've always gravitated towards these male role models. And I have to say, I'm going to kind of break it up a little bit. A couple of different people that have really impacted me, and people I have not met that have passed away through their teachings and writings, is Bruce Lee. Is a great guy. Talking about on like a spiritual level and stuff. Dr. John Dean Martini. He's written a lot of books for Hay House. And Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. These people kind of stick out in my mind the most. I'm trying to think of somebody living that's really impacted me. It probably would be some of my martial arts instructors. You know what? My brother. Because he was one of the people that said, "You're teaching me martial arts. Why don't you teach others?" And I said, "Well, I can't do that." He says, "Well, why can't you?" And it just, one of those questions that stopped me in my tracks. Well, wait a minute. Why can't I? Why am I resonating with this self-esteem? Why am I not expressing and helping and guiding people towards higher levels of achievement physically? You could do it physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And it just really got me thinking. My brother, Pat Malloy, would probably be the living, breathing person that really helped me with that,
Does he know that?
Oh, yeah, I remind him all the time. I'm like, dude, you programmed me for success. You were like one of the first people to say, well, you've been surrounding yourself with all these people that have said you can't. I'm saying you can. Interesting concept. I can. I don't think people hear that enough. They're bombarded with you can't, or it's hard, or you need more time, or I say whatever you want to do in life, just go ahead and do it. And don't worry about, like your show, don't worry about what other people think. Or, if you listen to everybody else, you wouldn't have a show. I wouldn't have written a book. I was told I can't write a book. Teachers told me I couldn't read I didn't read. I did not read a book until my senior year of high school. And a girl I liked, her dad, who was also into martial arts, said, "Do you read books?" And I says, "No, I can't read." And he says, "Well, have you ever read something you like?" And I said, "Well, no." And he goes, "Well, here's a book about this man whose journey was Bruce Lee. Zen and the Martial Arts was the first book I've read." And I was like 18 years old. And I was crying at the end of reading that book. You know why? Because I finally did something people told me I couldn't do. I read a book. It was crazy.
As you're saying all this, the whole I can't thing and you shouldn't and on all of that, I cannot help but think of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I can't. With Yoda.
Yeah.
And the
Strikes Back.
X-Wing,
Yeah.
right? And Luke, and he's like, "There's no try. There is only do." Well, I'll try to get the X-Wing
I love
out.
that quote.
I'll try to do that. Oh, I'll try to lift the rocks.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from that was when Yoda, everyone should watch this movie. When Yoda lifts his fighter jet out of the marsh, the, yucky pond, whatever it was in. and puts it on the ground. And Luke Skywalker is looking at it and he's in awe. And he says, I can't believe you did that. And Yoda says, that's where you fail. Something like that. But
No, I think you're right on. And I'm going to have to go back and now watch that on YouTube, I feel like. But I think we miss that. We hear that, well, there's no try, there's only do. That's the part we remember the most.
right.
But I love what you said there, that he says you failed because you didn't believe.
Yeah.
And I wonder about that with you. Was there ever a moment where you just felt like, I'm never going to do anything? I'm never going to be this. I'm never going to be that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, because I've been programmed through society and the educational system, and my stepfather, God rest his soul, was I couldn't. Because these people were trying to protect me. But it wasn't until I had self-belief. It's biblically written. Believe. Every prayer is answered. Believe and then see. We've been taught, well, I'll see it when I believe it. And that's a quote anyone can oh yeah, I know that quote. But I've reframed it to, I believe and then I see. So I believe that you are creating what you're seeing, in a sense.
That's good stuff. I like that a lot. So here's our dice cup. I'm going to try to
All right. Can you
reach
get it?
that on the table there. And
Okay.
if you guys could see the setup, it's quite lovely today. So you got your dice cup in there. So this is a game we like to call Senseless. So
Okay.
Jeff actually has the North Carolina Light Blue Cup in his hands.
Honored to hold it.
Honor to hold
My
it.
buddy
It
Neil,
is,
thank you.
It is sacred. So that's a sacred cup. So Senseless, here we go. Our 5 senses. Jeff, you do know there are 5 senses, right?
Yes.
I mean, being a nurse,
See, hear, taste, and touch.
what are they?
See, hear, taste, and touch.
Okay, good. So I was hoping, being the nurse, that you would know what they were and you could break those down for
Assistant.
us.
I assist nurses.
Excuse me, assist nurses.
But I
So-
feel like a nurse sometimes.
nice.
Okay.
Okay. So we got our cup there. You're gonna roll, and we're gonna see what number you get. This is fun
Okay.
stuff.
That
I
didn't
feel like
count.
you should re-roll. I think I
Okay.
may have been muted there. So we'll re-roll. He's
you-
re-rolling because he rolled off the table. So here we go.
Okay.
Ooh,
5.
number 5. I love
Number
number 5.
5.
I love them all, but I like number 5
Okay.
too. Favorite thing to taste?
Oh my God. I juice a lot, but that's not my favorite thing to taste.
I was gonna say that doesn't sound something yummy
So-
to taste. So
My second book is coming out soon. It's going to be about juicing. My journeys through juicing. I do juice a lot of kale, carrots, blueberries and stuff, bananas. I love tasting Italian food, pasta and stuff. The best meal I had was when I was in Venice, and it was virtually a hole-in-the-wall place, and it was the best meal I had. And it was pasta and seafood and sauce with some Chardonnay. It was to die for. It was the most biggest bill I've ever had either from dining somewhere. It was fantastic.
that's fantastic. I love hearing that. I'm always curious what people are gonna answer when we play Senseless. So that was fun. So Jeff, last word goes to you. What would you want to leave us with?
Oh, that's good. I want everybody to know that you have the ability to be, do, and have anything you want to in life. You can be, do, and have anything you want. And a lot of people get caught up in what other people are doing and saying, and they're looking around and looking at what the Joneses are doing, and they're not realizing their true greatness and potential. The greatness and potential lies within. And one of my journeys is to help people express that as much as possible. So you can do, be, and have anything you want.
Okay. So be, do, and have anything you want.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I guess, yeah. I don't know what to say to that. It's so rare that I'm at a loss for words, but it's true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am just honored to be on your show. Thank you so much.
Oh man, it's been our pleasure. So guys, I just want to remind you of this as we wrap up today. Just this idea is, what are you searching for? I know we've been talking about it for the last several months now, and I promise we are coming to the end of this, but I think today we really got a glimpse of where Jeff is. And not only that, the search for serving, the search for helping others, the search for this idea that I want to make an impact. And to me, I think that's what our world is missing. And this piece of the puzzle that maybe have fallen off the table, that we're looking frantically for to complete the picture, I think we got a little piece of that today. I think our picture is becoming more and more filled in by these last guests that we're having coming on in our search series. So guys, I hope you'll make time to join us next Wednesday. I, of course, want to thank you on behalf of executive producer Garrett and myself, Neil Matthews. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned till next week when we walk in other people's shoes. Thank you so much for joining us on Other People's Shoes. As you know, I'm your host, Neil Matthews. Just want to say thank you again for joining us this week. Want to thank our guest, Jeff, one more time. Guys, if you're interested in his book, we, of course, have linked all of that information in our show notes. You can pick up your copy today. It is a Kindle version, and guys, it's one to check out. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, please, of course, see our show notes. I don't know about you, but it's sometimes nice just to get on the freeway and drive. Our next week's guest, we literally could jump on I-5 and drive down and see her. Here's a little sneak preview of next week's episode.
I didn't know that was something that I should be grateful for. I mean, so being in this situation has taught me, wow, I have so much to be grateful for, even if things are hard, even if my family isn't nearby, even if I'm lonely, even if whatever, right? Man, I've got it good, right? And so we all have so much to be grateful for, and
That is right. We're not going to have to travel too far from Oregon to California. Logistically speaking, not that far. Join us next week as we search for moments. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, you'll just have to stay tuned till next week to find out, of course. That, of course, being next Wednesday when our new show is available to you on opspodcast.com. That, of course, is a great place to come each and every Wednesday to check out our latest and greatest episode that is available for you at opspodcast.com. Speaking of things available to you, we want to make ourselves available to you the best way we know how. How do we do that? Well, by giving you a number that you can call and text 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This number is available to you. That number, of course, being 203-548-7463. That's 203-548-7463. That, of course, is our text and voicemail line, available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Feel free to leave Garrett a voicemail or a text message and just tell him, gosh darn it, Garrett, you're doing a great job. He loves to hear things like that. If you would like to be in touch with us to be a future guest on Other People's Shoes, we, of course, would invite you to use that line as well, 203-548-7463, and we will get information in your hand on how you can be a future guest on our podcast. Speaking of future things, present things, and upcoming things, we, of course, would love to interact with you on social media. That, of course, being Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We do post there daily under the handle. I still am confused on that. Is it a handle still? Somebody let me know. But it's OPS Podcast Show under Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That, of course, like us, follow us, tweet us there. We would love to interact with you there. And, of course, last but certainly not least, guys, we want to remind you of this. Remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. On behalf of executive producer Garrett and myself, Neil Matthews, we just, of course, want to say thank you so much for listening. Join us right back here next week as we walk in other people's shoes.